From the PEP Radio Newsroom, this is the morning news for October 2nd, 2025. These are the stories we are covering at this hour. Some furloughed employees out of office replies have been reset to have language blaming Democrats for the shutdown. Out of office email messages for furloughed employees at the U.S. Department of Education were reset Wednesday with language blaming Democrats for the government shutdown. On September 19, 2025, the House of Representatives passed H.R. 5371, a clean continuing resolution. The message said, unfortunately, Democrat senators are blocking passage of H.R. 5371 in the Senate, which has led to a lapse in appropriations. Some employees try to change it to something nonpartisan, only to see it reverted back, according to an employee who spoke on condition of anonymity for fear of retribution. Some viewed it as a violation of the Hatch Act, which restricts partisan political activity by U.S. federal employees, but people were unable to file complaints because the website for the department's inspector general is down during the shutdown. The watchdog's website has been replaced with a short message. Due to lack of apportionment of funds, this website is currently unavailable. So what has been the shutdown impact on federal agencies? Well, let's go through those one by one. The U.S. Department of Agriculture notes that food safety inspections to protect health will continue. However, they furloughed 42,256 workers, which is 49% of their staff. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, well, disease outbreaks will be monitored, but they furloughed 64% of the workforce, or 8,472 people out of 13,633. The Department of Commerce, well, the National Weather Service will continue to produce forecasts and warnings about extreme conditions. Most research by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration will be halted, as will most Census Bureau activities, including survey collection and monthly economic reports. In other words, they furloughed 81% of their staff at 34,711 people. Service members on active duty will continue to report for duty. Recruitment and training activity will also continue at the Department of Defense. However, they are furloughing 45% of their workforce at 334,904 employees. The U.S. Department of Education, which was already gutted by DOGE, will face further cuts. The department will continue to disperse student aid such as Pell Grants and direct student loans. However, they're laying off 2,117 employees, which doesn't seem like much, but that's 87% of their current workforce. So they're dropping from 2,447 down to 320 employees at the Department of Ed. 320 for the entire nation. The U.S. Department of Energy is laying off 5,707 people. That's 37% of their workforce. Staff would remain to perform functions related to the safety of human life or the protection of property. The Environmental Protection Agency, well, they're furloughing 89% of their workforce. 13,432 people are being furloughed. Protection of EPA property, ongoing research, law enforcement, and criminal investigations. Emergency and disaster assistance would continue, as would cleanup work on certain Superfund sites. If you're looking to get Medicare and Medicaid, well, those payments will continue to come. However, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services is furloughing 32,460 employees of the 79,717 that work for the Health and Human Services Department, for a total of 41% furloughed. Still more furloughs. Well, Homeland Security is laying off 5% of their workforce. 14,184 are going to be furloughed, but 271,927. That's how many employees work for the Homeland Security Department. Most employees are unaffected because of the department's law enforcement mission. What about housing and urban development? Well, they're furloughing 70% of their entire staff. 44,259 people are out of work, out of a total of 6,105 people that work for the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Grant-funded emergency housing programs will continue. However, housing discrimination complaints will not be reviewed. Take note, LGBTQ plus community, if you are in Pennsylvania and you need to file a complaint about housing discrimination, do so through the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission, not the federal government, because your complaint is simply going to sit on someone's desk, and that person has been furloughed. What about the Department of Interior? Out of 44,119 employees, 21,700 are being furloughed, 49% of their staff. Some programs in the Bureau of Indian Affairs, providing social services, dam safety, and the management of fire and other types of natural disasters will continue. The U.S. Geological Survey will continue to monitor and respond to earthquakes. At the Department of Justice, 11% are being furloughed. The Department of Labor, 76% of employees are out of a job. Unemployment benefits and investigations into child labor will continue, but the Bureau of Labor Statistics will not release monthly jobs reports. The National Park Service, well, good luck with that. 64% are being furloughed. The park roads, lookouts, trails, and open-air memorials will generally remain accessible to visitors. Social Security recipients will continue to get payments. However, 12% of the staff at the Social Security Administration has been furloughed. That's 6,197 employees. Over at the Department of State, 62% furloughed. 27,300 employees entirely within the U.S. Department of State. And this list just keeps going. Oh, geez, more laid off employees. Look, the bottom line is that thousands of federal employees will be furloughed. Many of these departments have released their plans as to what is going to happen next. Many of these federal employees will not have jobs after the government shutdown ends. This was a deliberate move on the Trump administration's part to cut the federal workforce, but do so in a way that bypasses Congress. So, the U.S. Senate, well, they've adjourned for the day on Wednesday with no resolution on how to reopen the government. Blame was being cast on all sides on the first day of the shutdown. A vote to end the government shutdown failed earlier Wednesday as Democrats in the Senate held firm to the party's demands to fund health care subsidies that President Donald Trump and Republicans refused to extend. At issue are tax credits that have made health insurance through the Affordable Care Act more affordable for millions of people since the COVID-19 pandemic. The credits are set to expire at the end of the year if Congress doesn't extend them, which would more than double what subsidized enrollees currently pay for health insurance premiums, according to a KFF analysis. So why is the Senate not in session on Thursday? Well, senators will return Friday after a break for the Jewish holiday of Yom Kippur to vote again on a GOP measure to extend federal funding for 7 weeks. That's the news at this hour. If you are watching our YouTube news videos on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. PEP Radio is available on the Live 365 app, the PEP Radio page at paequality.com, Roku, and Alexa. Up next, we have the Meadville area weather forecast here on PEP Radio.